Hey, I'm the ask a 22-year-old who's going to court tomorrow to sue his brother for custody of his niece anything guy. I said I would update you all today, so here I am. I guess this is ask a 22-year-old who's going to court tomorrow to sue his brother for custody of his niece anything episode 2, Attack of the Clones. Christmas Eve, 2012. At parents' house, family party. Standing awkwardly with cousins. Likeable, but no one talks much to me. Chillin' when mom walks up. Your brother needs you to pick him up. Seriously? Just do it. Fine. Drive to brother's house. Knock on door. Brother's girlfriend lets me in. Walk in living room. Niece sees me. Uncle Anon! Sprints to me. Tackle hug with the force of the most adorable meteor ever. Giggling. I laugh, warmth filling my cold heart. Bro's girlfriend yells at her. It's okay, I don't mind. Almost growls at me. Leaves to go get bro. Play with niece till everyone is ready. Get in car, go to party. Talk a little while. Awkward. Family is nice, but ignores me. Them feels. Retire to basement to be alone. Watching TV. Niece comes down. Hey, Uncle Anon, what are you doing? Just watching TV. Why are you down here alone? No one wants to talk to me. Them feels. I do. A little warmth fills my heart. A boring old loner like me. Don't be silly, Uncle Anon. I love you. My heart warms more. Why? Well, you're always nice to me and come over to play with me. Don't you play with your friends or parents? I don't have many friends. And Daddy is always too drunk to play, and Mommy just tells me to shut up and go away. She crawls up on the couch next to me. But you are so nice and you always have time for me. I'm not gonna cry, I'm not gonna cry, I'm not gonna cry. That's why I love you. Fuck it, I'ma cry. I love you too. I hold her close. She hugs me as hard as she can. Spend rest of party cuddling on couch, talking and playing. End of party. Bro comes down, sees us. Rants drunkenly about his niece and me being down here all alone. Overall very douchey. Tell him to shut up. Looks surprised. Does. Drive them home. Insist niece gets front seat. Joke with her whole ride. You're my favorite ever, Uncle Anon. Girlfriend staring at me with that hot white fury of a self-centered bitch. Brother hears too. Starts getting drunk angry. Ignore them both. Get to their house. Manage to get everyone inside. Hear bro and girlfriend fighting in room. Can't I go home with you, Uncle Anon? I'm sorry, you have to stay with your parents. Fighting getting louder. Tuck her into bed. Leave. Drive to end of court. Turn around. As I pass their house, front door open. Niece comes flying out. Jump out of car. Kneel in the middle of the road as niece collides with me. She's sobbing. See blood coming out of her head. My heart freezes. Ask her what happened. She is almost incoherent. Get the rest of this from her later. She was in bed. Bro slams in, yelling at her. She starts crying. He rants about how she loves me more. Calls her a slut, she's screwing me, etc. She tries to run past him. He grabs her hair, yanks. She slams into the ground, hits head. He kicks her. She manages to get up, runs to front door, runs to me. Bro comes out of house with bat, yelling and swearing. More nosy neighbors standing outside by now. Bro threatens me. Fuck. Go to trunk, open. Unlock lockbox. Then next one. Pull magazine out of second. Handgun out of first. Brother is almost a car. Load. Chamber. Brother sees gun. Stops. Don't raise gun. Tell him to go away. Rants. Get away from that slut. Stop protecting that whore. And etc. Take step forward. Raise gun. Tell him to stop. Another step. Fire 2 rounds into ground. Niece is clinging to me, sobbing. Bro threatening to kill us both. Uses bat to break the car window. Warn him again. Didn't those beatings teach you anything, you slut? He starts walking towards us again. Warn him one last time. Pull niece behind me. Aim. Fire. Hits him in the left shoulder. He falls to the ground. Still screaming he's going to kill us. Cops arrive. I raise my hands. Aims his gun at me. Gets on knees, placed gun on ground. Niece still clinging to me. Handcuffed, placed next to cop car. try to take niece away. She fights them, so they let her stay near me with 2 cops. They help brother. More cops arrive. Lots of people around now start to question them and me. Taken into custody. Lots of questioning followed by even more questioning. I eventually get released pending charges. Lots of legal stuff follows. I file charges, get paperwork going to get custody of niece. Most of the people I know are supportive. After a while, I get temporary custody pending results of trial. Mostly due to witnesses and my niece's violent refusal to be aparted with me, as long as we stay at this special government apartment or something. Trial started Monday. Okay, lastly, background. My niece is 8 years old. I am 22. I work at a Department of Defense repair and maintenance facility. I am reasonably well supported financially, almost no debt, decent income, no criminal record, and yes, the gun is legal. Okay, let's start with a little story. We, being me, my niece, the lawyer, the judge, and the assorted legal peoples, were in the courtroom. As usual, my brother showed up late. As he was walking in, he saw his daughter and made that face. You know the one. The "I will beat you" face. Despite being told already not to talk to us, he pushed his lawyer aside and tried to get to his daughter. She cringed and ran to me. The judge yelled at him to stop, but the bailiff had to physically restrain him. That was his first warning. My niece was silently crying before the trial even began. Not a good start. We start with opening arguments. Them. Dude is crazy, shot someone, now kidnapping, can't support child, etc. Us. Abusive parents, dire circumstances, best interest of child, me stable. Then we got into the details of the incident, starting with when we got back to their house. Went through details of the night, testimony from me and my brother, then onto witnesses, the neighbors. Brother keeps muttering under his breath, stands up and calls me a fucking liar. Judge has to warn him to shut up. Then we get to the part I feared the most, when my niece would have to testify. As I said, she's already shook up, but she makes it to the stand. Judge is nice, older woman, wedding ring, I suspect a mother. Lets my niece take her time. She talks about the party, the ride home, and how she heard her parents yelling when I left. When she talked about lying in bed, hearing her parents, and how scared she was getting, I think even my lawyer got a little misty. Then she got to the part when my brother came in, and she starts to softly cry as she talks. When she gets to the part about him grabbing her and kicking her, my brother jumps up and yells, "You lying bitch!" and etc. I won't get into it too much. My niece starts bawling her fucking eyes out and sprints to me. The judge is yelling at him as he lunges at my niece. The bailiff tackles him and takes him away. He's being held for the remainder of the trial. The judge grants a recess so I can call my niece. Short backstory to explain this part. On the day I got temporary custody of my niece, we were driving to the place we would be staying. She was talking about how much she was glad to be out of there, and how much she was going to love living with me when the song came on the radio. I must admit, it gave me strong feels right away, and I could tell my niece liked it too. It's so beautiful. Yes it is. It reminds me of all the sleepovers we used to have. Well, now it'll always be a sleepover. I'm glad. She fell in love with the song and dubbed it Our Song, in that cute little way that comes so naturally to little girls. Now every night when I tuck my niece into bed, I play her that song. Okay, so my niece was still crying her eyes out as I carried her out of the courtroom. I hugged her tightly and told her that everything would be okay, that her father couldn't hurt her anymore. Thinking of the song, I told my lawyer to run out to my car and get my iPod. A lady at a desk nearby asked how she could help. I asked her if I could use her computer to play a song, and she said yes. When my lawyer came back, we hooked up my iPod to the computer, started iTunes, and started the song. I kneeled there on the ground, holding my niece in my arms, gently rocking her as the song played throughout the room. My niece began to quiet down. When the song ended, she looked at me with those big eyes, slightly red from crying, and whispered, "Our song." I gave her a little smile and said, "Yes, our song." "I love you, Uncle Anon." "Love you too." If you wanted to know, this is the song. Daughters by John Mayer. I dare you to listen to it without getting a single feel. My niece got to finish testifying without her dad present, and we continued on discussing the incident. More witness testimony. Evidence including the bullets from the lawn and my brother, my gun, car, the general scene including her bedroom, and the hallway which included blood where she hit her head. The first responders described the scene when they arrived, what they saw and how they reacted. I was surprised when the judge asked the senior officer his personal opinion upon arriving on the scene, and what he said lined up with my story. When we concluded going over the incident, the judge called for the psych expert. Alright, hello B. This is Ask a 22-year-old who's going to court tomorrow to sue his brother for custody of his niece anything guy. After 5 days, 2 threads, and more than 1,056 replies, I present to you Ask a 22-year-old who's going to court tomorrow to sue his brother for custody of his niece anything, Episode 3, Return of the King. So, the child psych expert took the stand. She spent a lot of time at the apartment with me and my niece. She discussed what she looked for, indicators that show patterns of abuse, bad parenting, and other stuff. She pointed to her attaching to me at an early age, as well as other things as a sign that she was seeking attention that she was not getting at home. She also pointed out how my niece was always too close to me in public, how she always held my arm when there were other people around, and how even at home, she was almost always in the same room as me, or kept calling out to me if we were in different rooms. This indicated that she had attached to me as a protector of sorts, and felt the need to always have me around to protect her, even in places where she should normally feel safe. Then she got to the discussions that she had with my niece about her father. I will start out by saying that he never engaged in sex with her, not directly. He did, however, do things that are definitely sexual abuse, frequently when drunk. He would join her in the shower and make comments, bumping into her and stuff. If he had to use the bathroom while she was in there, he would go in anyway, and not let her leave until he was done. He would frequently have sex with his girlfriend in public places in the house, even when he knew that she could see them. My niece remembers him coming into her room while she was sleeping. He never touched her and she never opened her eyes, but it was still clear. Also, more inappropriate stuff that was casual enough that my niece didn't even know was sexual. She went on, but ended by stating that it was her opinion that my niece was being abused and that she should not be allowed back with her parents. She also said that her relationship with me was extremely dependent, but that it was helping her cope, and she would not recommend separating us, at least until she was better. So Wednesday morning, we wrapped up the last of the evidence involving that night. When we had finished with going over my niece's life at her old house, it was time to determine whether or not she would live with me, and if I was willing and capable of supporting a child. First, we started with my financials. While I'm not rich or anything, I do alright. I had to provide my tax returns for the last 3 years, and all of my account and debt info. I had to explain how my parents helped pay for my education, so I had less than $2,000 in debt, which made me seem like a spoiled kid, exactly like my brother's lawyer intended. However, despite my moderate income, it was well above the poverty line for a single parent. The judge seemed satisfied that I was financially sound. Then it was time for my character witnesses. We started with my parents. They were able to testify that I had, on many occasions, babysat my niece since she was 1 year old. I also watched her for 2 weeks while her parents went off to Vegas or somewhere. They were only supposed to be gone for a week and just showed up a week late without calling or anything. That was a nice little tidbit for the judge. Then we moved on to some more personal friends. Then, a woman I work with at the facility. I had also babysit her son on occasion, while her husband was deployed. She was a good professional and personal reference. Another coworker rounded out my professional references, excepting the big one, my boss. Then, it was time for my boss to testify. Now, I want you to picture this guy. He was a former Army colonel turned DoD bureaucratic, so he is this giant bear of a guy. A little on the fat side, but imposing, and he tends to make grandiose speeches. We walked in, looked at the judge, and said, "Hello, Sally," in that way that you know he used a banger. She just gave him this flat look and said, "Hello, Mr. Miles." I swear I was going to lose the case right there, but he really saved it. He has this way of talking that could make holding a door open for someone sound equal to running into a burning building to save puppies. He talked on about how great of an employee I was, always working hard and yet always polite. He described my working situation, hours and stuff, as well as the childcare support they offered to help parents who work at the DoD facility. After we finished with all the witnesses and stuff, we recessed while the judge came to a verdict. I spent that time at a little local restaurant with my niece, possibly for the last time. We ate ice cream for lunch, we joked and laughed. Mostly I just enjoyed seeing her smile, listening to her cute little laugh, and making the most of my time with her, knowing that it could be the last time we were together like this. On the ride back to the courthouse, we listened to the song one last time. As we walked up the steps, my niece stopped and looked at me. "I know that I want to live with you. Please don't let them take me away." I took her in my arms and said, "No matter what happens, I will always take care of you, and I will always love you." "I love you too, Uncle Anon." She hugged me as hard as she could. We unhugged and, hand in hand, walked to the courtroom. The judge walked in and sat down. "After hearing all the evidence and witness testimony, I have come to a verdict. This case has two parts. Whether my brother is a fit parent and can continue raising his child, and whether me would make a suitable guardian for my niece. As to the first, after listening to the testimony from my niece and the child psychologist, it is clear that her living conditions are unacceptable, and she has been subject to mental and at least one count of physical abuse. This court finds that my niece will not return to living with her parents, and further recommends that the state file criminal charges on these grounds. As to the second part, it is clear that my niece has a strong attachment with her uncle, and that he feels the same. However, there is more to consider. He must be able to support her financially, have the capacity and time to care for her, and provide a safe and nurturing environment for her to grow up in. While single parents can support a child, it is preferred to place a child in a two-parent home. So, we must balance emotion with practicality. However, it is the finding of this court that me will make a suitable parent and is hereby granted full custody of his niece. Court dismissed." I cannot describe the feeling when we heard the news. My niece's face lit up with pure innocent joy, and as she jumped into my arms, I felt my eyes water. I do not think either of us had stopped smiling all day, and I have never been happier in all of my life. I know that it will not be all puppies and sunshine, but I would not have it in any other way.